Final Fantasy Dissidia was gutted by Square Enix. Or was it? Yo, my name is Lucky Puppy, your Luck Dragon VTuber, and join me as we answer, did Square Enix just murder Final Fantasy Dissidia? Final Fantasy Dissidia is now just a cash grab. Now usually I don't make videos on phone games, but this affected me as I was going through Final Fantasy Dissidia NT for the Platinum, when I saw this sequel drop, and I was hopeful that Dissidia was going to right the wrongs and get back on track, because Dissidia NT was not a success, which when it's not a success, this typically makes the devs want to shut off the servers faster for the previous game, as it was a failure, saves them money. But let's back up for a second, because I remember Dissidia was a handheld game.
Oh, I thought it was a console game.
And I see on Wikipedia it says it was an arcade game. So let's get some facts straight here. Final Fantasy Dissidia is a 3v3 team-based fighter, kind of like Super Smash Bros. But the only thing is that all the fighters are now Final Fantasy characters. Great idea and sounds fun, right? Well, it is, until you remember that it's Square Enix. And Square Enix is primarily a single-player developer, so balance went right out the window. As how are you supposed to balance lore-accurate lightning with Ishtola, a literal god killer, against a cat girl witch? I'm not saying we should have expected poor balancing, but what I am saying is that the difficulty was certainly apparent from the beginning. A long-term idea for this game title was not well planned either, as it was a handheld first, then it went to an arcade cabinet for the Japanese, but for the US we got a console version, which when that failed due to swapping from a portable handheld to an arcade cabinet, they decided to cut their losses, and I guess we just got a phone game now, so yeah, technically not a bad move, because phone games can be great and offer portability, just like the PSP many years ago, its original home. But Square Enix didn't implement it with the thought of fairness or balance, but dollar signs. So you're probably asking yourself, is the phone game at least any good? Well, let me say this, the graphics are good and stylized, but everything else sadly is a little bit of a downgrade. So the most recent title, Dissidia NT, had a cast of 38 characters, with 10 being DLC, and extra costumes and story modes with replaceable score-based modes such as Gauntlet, whereas the phone game has 10 characters, and it's mainly the most favorite characters of the entire Final Fantasy franchise to generate interest. The moment-to-moment gameplay is actually really good, and the animations and the enemies are pretty good too. The most basic premise is you kill enemies to cleanse crystals, or kill the enemy, which gives you Brave Burst. You Brave Burst to hit the main final boss. The first team to kill the boss wins, but as you play you will notice that the abilities are graded, and you level them up by getting more. So for example, UR moves like One-Man Army for Lightning can be upgraded to One-Shot if you have duplicates. And would you look at that, you found the gotcha. That's right, Lucky Frogs, the gotcha is the character's abilities, some exclusive to said character, but most sliced up and ripped off the character to feed the gotcha mechanic. So if someone decimates you with the highest rarity move, Ultra Rare, you can bet they swipe that credit card to win. But they also double dip here, as there is a battle pass that gives you characters if you didn't use the gotcha system enough. The bright spot is that no duplicates of characters are needed, which is nice, but you will need duplicates of the abilities and eggs. Yeah, I don't know why, but they chose green eggs as the upgrade currency. No story missions here, and it's mainly just PvP with PvE. The story that is here is like blah blah Link from Nikkei. We still do have the proposed customizability set to be great from the previous entries, with outfits and menu music being swappable and profile pics, but at a premium now. The game just came out as of the time of recording, so there is not much in the game. Pretty bare bones, honestly. No summons, like in previous installments, and team building and synergy is kind of random most of the time, which leaves you with this weird feeling of it was supposed to be a deeper game, or at least a wider cast of characters, but it's neither, so you just end up with this feeling of, gee, I wish there was more to the game. But honestly, I don't see this game lasting long with how it's monetized. I think the previous version of their phone game, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, was better, honestly. Sure, it didn't have the name Dissidia strapped across the front of it, but it had fully animated cutscenes in high definition, and a story mode with all the previous Final Fantasy characters in there, and events that were really interesting to fans, like adding Edward from Full Metal Alchemist, or 2B from Nier joining your team. It also had PvP and 6v6 that made team building varied and interesting, and actually had some creativity to it. So is it worth picking up? Nah, chief. Not till it has a few years to cook up some more content, such as characters, events, extra modes, and the like. But by that time, it's probably going to be dead due to the lack of interest. Casuals will be getting turned off with how the gacha is set up, and whales will probably just stick to one character to whale for and call it a day. Its competition just outright is better, and more generous offers and better graphics. And while the moment-to-moment gameplay is good, it's not even close to games like Wuthering Waves. Plus, with how this game has some weird mechanics in it, such as when you go and win, you'll get a crystal crystal that you have to use 2 hours of in real life time to go and purify, it makes you stop playing the game, as when you run out of slots, you're gonna think, well, I don't want to go and play unoptimally and not be unlocking a crystal, so you stop. And you'll probably forget to go and play again or log on, in which case, it's just gonna be an app that gathers dust on your phone. So in short, it went from being a decent title with botched execution to worse, a perfectly executed cash grab. But hey, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong, and this game does deserve the world. You tell me in the comments below, and if you made it to the end of this video, comment Dissidia. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time, my lucky frogs.